Hey everyone, Valentine's is just around the corner, and this will be Lois and I's last Valentine's before baby Jay arrives. So I wanted to treat her to something a little bit extra special and make her a 3-course dinner. To start, it'll be very simple. It'll be a green leaf lettuce with cucumbers and apples, and it'll be tossed in a toasted sesame and Gochugaru vinaigrette. For the entree, it will be a Kalbi braised short rib served with a orange Gochugaru Rosti, as well as some charred broccolini. And to finish off the menu, it's going to be kind of like a deconstructed pear tart. So it'll be some pears that were poached in some honey and cinnamon, as well as some pear sorbet, a honey pastry cream, some fresh pears, and a pate sucrée. There are quite a few components to this menu. You can definitely make a lot of this stuff in advance, definitely like 1 or 2 days ahead of Valentine's. Things like the pear sorbet, you can make the pate sucrée dough so that all you have to do is just roll it out and bake it. You can make the pastry cream ahead of time, marinate the short ribs, make the vinaigrette, and it would actually be even better because it gives time for the flavors to develop even more. So yeah, on that note, let's get cooking. If you're interested in this apron, it's made by a company called Medium Rare. They have some really great products. I love all the pockets, I love the colors. I'll leave a link in the captions below, and if you use my link, you can get 10% off your purchase. So yeah, go check them out. They have some really great stuff. So ideally, I would add all of my ingredients for the marinade all at once and then just blend it up until it's smooth. But because this is broken and because this cup is too small to fit all of the other liquids into it, I'm just gonna have to blitz up what's in here and then just add the rest in the container. So this marinade makes enough for 4 short ribs in case you want to cook for more people. Or just eat more for yourself. So these will go into the fridge to marinate for 12 to 24 hours, and then after that we will braise them. So with this other half of the pear, I squeezed a whole bunch of lemon juice over it, as well as I squeezed a bunch of lemon juice on top of this paper towel and soaked it. And then I'm just gonna wrap the paper towel over the pear and then wrap this in some saran wrap, and that should prevent it from oxidizing, and I'll just store it in the fridge until we need to use it all. So these short ribs have been marinating for about 24 hours now. What I'm gonna do is remove them from the marinade and thoroughly pat them dry with paper towels. Then we're gonna give them a good sear and then braise them in the oven. Time for coffee break. Hot coffee on a snowy day. Braised short ribs in the oven. Today is pretty darn good. Look at this. Look at all that snow. It's like 1 centimeter out there. You know what that means. Victoria's gonna shut down. Brace yourselves. So now that your short ribs have finished braising, a good way to tell if they're done is either grabbing a offset spatula or a knife and just poke it right through, and you should just slide right in. And that's how you know they're done. If you're planning on serving dinner tomorrow, transfer the short ribs and the braising liquid into a separate container, let that cool down, and then leave it in the fridge. That will actually give the short ribs an opportunity to reabsorb a lot of the braising liquid, and it will actually make it a lot more flavorful. At this point, let these short ribs cool completely, cover it, and then we'll put it in the fridge. So if you cooled the short ribs overnight in the fridge, what we're going to do now is we're going to fish out all the fat that has coagulated to the top. Then we'll add the short ribs and the braising liquid into a pan and heat it all up and then finish it with some butter. Once you've got your butter, give it a taste. You probably don't need to add any more salt. If anything, some more acid. So I'll just add some rice vinegar. Delicious. Here I have a pot of cold water for the potatoes. I'm going to add them in. Once the water comes up to a boil, I'll set a 5-minute timer. And what that does is it'll kind of activate the starches in the potatoes and it'll help kind of glue it together as we grate it and form the roasties. So the potatoes have been boiling for about 5 minutes now. We're going to drain the water and then grate them using a box grater. Here I have a set of ring cutters. I'm thinking of using probably the smaller size ring cutters just because I want to have 3 on there. Odd numbers always look great on plates. So at this point, we're going to let the pears simmer for about 10 minutes until they're nice and soft, and then we're going to give them a really good blend. Oh, this thing completely cracked. I don't know if you guys can tell. Ow. This thing's all cracked now. Guess we're done with this. So I had to switch containers. I was hearing cracking in the other container, and I noticed all 4 corners, there's massive cracks going through them. So I don't know if this container can handle hot food. I definitely thought they could. At this point, I'm just gonna cool this down. Once it's completely chilled, we'll go ahead and churn it. These quenelle molds that I purchased off of Amazon a little while ago. I'm going to set the sorbet in these because I just think they look so refined and I just think they'll look great on the plate. You don't have to use these. You can just use an ice cream scoop and it'll look just as great. Now that the pastry cream has thickened up, we're going to remove it from the heat to cool for about a minute, add the gelatin, and finish it with some butter. I also picked up these honeycomb molds from Amazon a little while ago. I feel like it's only fitting since it's a honey pastry cream. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the pastry cream in here, put it in the freezer, and then when it comes time for dessert, I'll pull it out and let it thaw out on the plate. You don't have to use this, you can just use a piping bag or just a nice little ladle on top of the plate. Now that our tart dough is made, I'm just going to place this in the fridge for about an hour to chill, and then we'll roll it out and bake it. So now that our pastry has chilled in the fridge for about an hour, I'm just going to roll them out between 2 pieces of silicone mats and bake them in the oven at 350 Fahrenheit. Now that the pastry has finished baking, we're going to let this cool completely. After that, we're going to break off a few pieces of shards to use as a garnish, and the rest of it we're going to place it in a food processor and blend it all up until it's kind of like a soil to use for the dessert. Once the syrup comes up to a boil, we'll reduce the heat down to a simmer, let that go for about 30 minutes, and then we'll pull it off the heat to cool. Don't throw this pear trim out. You can dice it up and serve it fresh on the dessert, or you can puree it up and serve it as a sauce. I have a second pear here that I'm probably going to slice up nicely, and any of the trim that's left over, I'm just going to go ahead and puree it. So for our fresh component, I'm thinking of just thinly slicing the pears. I think it'll look great on the dessert. With all of our pear slices, I'm just going to wrap them up in our lemon-soaked paper towel, leave them in the fridge until we're ready to plate up the dessert. With this other half of the pear, I'm just going to dice it up and then add it into the puree. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of the cinnamon ginger syrup into the puree. This is actually really good. Cover it and let it simmer until it's nice and soft. Once your pear puree has cooled, you can transfer it into a squeeze bottle. I like to do this just because it gives me a little bit more control when I'm plating. And that's a wrap. Thanks for joining me in the kitchen today. I hope you enjoy all these recipes, or at least get the chance to try one of them for Valentine's Day. I know it's quite a bit of work, but I'm pretty sure your partner will greatly appreciate all the effort. I'll leave the recipe in the captions below, and if you want to see more like this, please subscribe and let me know and I'll make more. Yeah, on that note, Happy Valentine's Day!